Hello, and welcome to Course Selection Demystified. We're hoping that we can share with parents of the classes of 2028 and 2027 the whole course selection process, sort of in a nutshell, so that you're aware of what the students have been going through this week and any questions you might have in the days to come. With me today is one of our counselors, Ms. Futrell. And the reason we're just here, the two of us, is that every other counselor is meeting with students and can step away because they were very busy with students. So you have us. So we're going to do the best we can with just the two of us. But if you have any questions, please always feel free to reach out to your son or daughter's counselor. So Ms. Futrell is going to go through the course selection calendar. She's going to go through the course selection process and how students do it on the MyBG portal, and also some other things to consider, like the 4-year plan when thinking about classes for not just the new year ahead, but years out as well. So for rising sophomore students, what are you going to do for your junior and senior year? And for rising junior students, what you want to do for junior and senior year. So, Ms. Futrell.
Thank you. So as you can see, we have a calendar for events and what the students need to be doing. So at this point, we've given them the program of studies. The portal has been opened for the students to select their courses. And as Mrs. Poznanski said, it has been incredibly busy, which we love, because that means the students have lots of questions, and we've been answering all their questions and working on the 4-year plans. So it's been great to see the students coming down here and asking questions. We, are working on the webinar for you, so you know what to expect and what you will see in the program of studies. The process closes for the students to put in their classes at 8 a.m. on Monday. But if for some reason a student can't talk to a teacher or has some questions, they can complete the process and we can still talk to them, because as counselors, we can make changes for them. From March 19th to the 21st, all the requests will go to the department chairs so they can review them for placement in honors and AP. And as we told the students, if they follow the program of studies and the prerequisites, this should be a very easy kind of process for the department chairs. From March 24th to the 27th, the students are going to meet with the students and adjust any courses and let them know if there's been any changes to their schedule. And then on March 28th, the final requests will be posted. So the students will know what they were approved for classes. For any students that's interested in an AP class, we do have an AP contract that will be given to the students, or they can actually start having those signed come March 24th, because the department chairs will have been able to do the review. And they are due back to counseling after they are signed by the department chair, the student, and the parent. We sign it last and we keep a copy. And then the students tentatively will get their schedules July 28th. So that is the process as we go through it. So all students were told that they need to have 7 periods in their day. The last open spot is for their study, which we automatically put in, but they need to choose 7 periods, and that can be made up of full year classes or half year classes. We have classes designed specifically for each grade level. In the back of the program of studies is a 4-year plan with updated requirements, which I will go through later. But there's been some changes so that students have a little more flexibility and opportunity to take some honors and AP classes they may want to take. And we'll go through how it fits in an 8-period and rotation. We'll go through that in the schedule as well. So for course selection, they do everything online, and they're very familiar with this process. And as you can see by the screen up in front of you, they can choose this option by going to course requests. When they click on course requests, it will bring up instructions on how they need to fill in their classes. For some students, some classes are populated already. So for instance, students in the sophomore class already have Catholicism and health built into their schedule because they all have to take these classes. When they go to sign up for classes after clicking on course online requests, they will start to choose classes by clicking on the classes. They can do this a couple of ways. They can go through the Dropbox, which will give them each department. So if they wanted to pick a literature class, they'd click literature, and then that would bring up the course requests that they can have for that year. So again, for the sophomore class, the rising sophomores, they would be able to choose world literature. They also have the option of world literature honors, and all they have to do is click add request, and that will put that course into their selections for next year. So for each department, they will go through and add those classes. They also are all listed on the left-hand side where you can see available courses. So if they click on any of the classes, they will be able to see all the classes in that department. If they have questions about what each class has in it or what the prerequisites are, they can click on the class and they will see what the prerequisites are. And for a number of them, the prereqs are also listed right by the course. It tells you when it runs. Right now, they currently all say first semester, but they are not all running first semester. We just have it in as one term or first semester until we build the schedule. So if your student, when they see their request, everything seems to be first term, it's not all going to be first term. That's just how it's indicated until we build the schedule. Students, like I said, need to request a minimum of 7 credits. And then after they are done doing this, they need to make sure that they save. So it's important that they save every time they put classes in and they're going to go away from the portal. So a few things that they need to think about when they're doing this whole process. There's a couple things that will pop up. And there is a video that you can click and see kind of a little bit more about this. But if a student has already taken a course, it will tell them that they've already taken that course and they just need to press OK. They can take it again. That typically happens with like band, chorus, those courses that students take throughout their 4 years here. So if they press OK, it will populate into their course requests. It also, there's a possibility that they may see another option that pops up that says you have not reached the minimum level of classes. And again, if they press OK and press save, they can go back in and add more classes. So after that being said and done, and they've put all their classes in, they want to make sure that they are thinking about, do they have a balanced schedule? Have they put in the classes that are going to benefit them, but also allow them to do all the other things that they like to do? So we have a number of students that are involved in a number of activities, if it's athletics or clubs, or if they have a job. Some of the students are responsible for bringing home younger siblings or taking care of them. So how do those classes fit into that schedule? If you're going to take honors and AP classes, you can be sure that you're going to have more homework. So for AP classes, it could be anywhere from an hour or an hour and a half more for those classes each night. It wouldn't necessarily be each night, but that is something they need to be prepared for. If they want to be ready for the next day, they could have a little bit more homework than they're typically used to in a college prep class. If they're not sure how to select those classes, be it honors or AP, where are their strengths? What do they feel like they do well, and what are their interests? So focus on that and make sure that that's what you're focusing on. We don't want to see students just take APs to have a number of APs because they think that's what they need. Because as Mrs. Poznanski will talk about later, if you take a number of APs and you do not do well on them, it does show on your transcript. So that's why working towards your strengths and interests is very important, because we'd rather see you have that balanced schedule and do well in your classes than take, a number of APs and not be successful in those classes. So it's important to make sure that you balance all the classes that you take. And The decision and who makes it is usually done by the department chair. For more information on how that works in the process, which we've talked to with all the students, you can go to page 4 and 5 of the program of studies, and it outlines exactly how that process works. But it's really based on past grades, department chair approval, and teacher recommendation. So this is an example of a 4-year plan that we work through with the students. And for those of you that have seen it before, you'll notice there's been some changes. And for those of you that haven't, I can point those out right now. You can also find the changes on page 3 of the program of studies. It shows the requirements that students need to take in order to graduate. So we used to encourage students or have students take a full year of certain classes, like exploration or computers, I should say, and fine arts. But we've cut that back so that students only need to take a half credit in both computer science and fine arts. So for students that are in the 9th grade right now, they most likely have fulfilled that by taking computer exploration and also an art class or chorus band. They have met that requirement for graduation. The same thing with health and fitness. As you can see listed now, all students need to take is their freshman PE and health, and then they've met the requirements. So we've shortened each of those departments by a half credit for students to take other courses that we have available. And we've also added new courses in many of the departments. In literature, in social studies, and science, we have added a number of courses for students to choose from. And while most of those are for 11th and 12th graders, it gives students something to look forward to in terms of the 4-year plan. So that's what we've been doing a lot of is let's work back from 12th grade. If you want to get to an AP class, how can you get there? And so we've kind of mapped that out with the students, just like you see in front of you. So for students that may want to take a class like AP Calculus, which a lot of students will hit mostly in their 12th grade, how do you get there and what would you have to do? So we've worked through that 4-year plan. And again, there is a 4-year plan in the back of the program of studies. And a number of the students have written down what they'd like to take. So I encourage you to talk to your child and look at their program of studies. And if they did do a 4-year plan, what that looks like for them over the next few years, depending on how many years they have left. One of the things that students have been asking a lot about is language. So taking foreign language, we encourage, 2 years is required, but we encourage students to take 3, if not 4 years, if it fits in their schedule, because that allows them to have a very robust schedule. It also shows a commitment to something that they have on their schedule. And when you're talking about the college admissions process, that helps them see that commitment and also adds to a student's transcript. It's not always for every student, and that's why on a case-by-case basis, we'll talk to the students. But certainly the more language that you can do of the same language, the better it looks on your transcript. So we encourage students to do that. But when you look through, you see everything that students need to sign up for. The rest has remained consistent with what we've done in the past. So they need 4 years of English. They need to get through Algebra 2, so 3 years of math. Most students take 4. They need to take at least 3 years biology, chemistry, and physics for science, but there are electives that they can look at in their junior year. They need 3.5 years of social studies, starting with civics in their freshman year. Then they take world history, US history, economics, which is a requirement, and there's also now an AP economics option for students. So I encourage you to look at that in the program of studies, as well as another half-year elective in social studies. And then world language and everything else that they take above and beyond these classes is considered electives. So just because they only need a half year of art or computers doesn't mean that they shouldn't take more if it's an area of interest for them. So mark your calendars for these important dates and times. So this upcoming Monday, March 17th, the portal will close at 8 a.m. Again, if a student has questions or we need to make changes, the counselors can help them with that. The students can review their final requests in MyBG. I believe it's March 28th. And March 27th, all signed AP forms are due in the counseling office. And they should be signed by parents and the department chair. We're the last ones to sign it. Something exciting, March 26th, we have a college fair here. It's at night. This is a very large college fair where there's right now about 110 colleges that will be here. For BG parents, it will start at 6. They'll have from 6 to 6:30, and then it's open to the public. April 4th, we have a career fair. We have a number of former BG graduates, as well as other people attending, which will be exciting for the students. And then in July, the preliminary schedules will go out to the students, and we are still waiting on the first day of school for next year. And here are our contacts information should you have any questions about the process or what's been going on. But I will say the students have been really great with coming to see us, and I'm so pleased that we've been able to work with so many of your children to help in their planning process. And now I'll turn it over to Ms. Poznanski, who will talk about advanced placement.
Thank you, Ms. Futrell. And again, the scheduling process is something that we take very seriously. And as Ms. Futrell said, the students have been really on this year. There's a lot more opportunity for choice and some passion courses than ever before in opening up the schedule a little bit. And there are some really fantastic new courses that the students can take advantage of. And 2 of those are advanced placement courses. AP Psych is going to be offered, and AP Economics, which are 2 very popular courses not even at the AP level at FBG. And so it's a very nice opportunity for students to challenge themselves, but also do something a little bit more of a passion. So advanced placement is for juniors and seniors. Typically, we have 1 AP course offered to 10th through 12th grade, and that is computer science principles. Some students are in AP courses a little bit earlier than that, depending on their math placement and their ability in math. But for the most part, the advanced placement program is designed for juniors and seniors. And there is a reason for that. The advanced placement program is taught here at BG almost to the letter of the College Board law, in that it is taught like a college course. So obviously there are course requirements and prerequisites that are needed beforehand so that the student can be successful in the advanced placement course. And the reason for that is that these courses are not something you can just automatically jump into at times, especially skill-based courses like math or world language. Those courses require a building of skills. So it's very important for the student to read through the program of studies and the course description for AP classes before jumping into them. And I'll talk about that as we go through. And one of those is the course expectations. As Ms. Futrell said earlier, with honors classes and advanced placement classes, there is more homework. The expectations are harder and they're higher, and the time commitment for these classes will be larger. And the other piece of that information is that it goes deeper into the course content. So there's a lot of content, it moves more quickly, and the course has expectations that the student will keep up with it. So if the student is in college level at this point, it is very hard to jump over college level and go into advanced placement, except in AP computer science principles. The student really only has to have taken the intro to or the explorations in computer science. So other than that, though, the other courses, the best route to take is if the student is in college level and wants to get to advanced placement, they should try out the honors level in between. It's very rare that a student is going to be able to jump over and then be successful at advanced placement. So that's an important piece to think about. The number of AP classes a student takes each year is also important. As Ms. Futrell spoke before, balance is important. Advanced placement typically has a requirement of about 2 hours of homework per course. So that's not going to be every single night, but that's going to be an average. And so if a student takes 3 AP classes, that's 6 hours of homework. So that's why going to something a student, going towards something that a student is passionate in or has a strength in would make that a little bit easier for them to manage. The reason we recommend students only take three AP classes is just for that reason. It's balance. And it's also, we want them to enjoy high school and we want them to be part of something. We don't want them to feel completely underwater, and some students aren't. Some students can take 3 or 4 AP classes and be fine. Other students may only take 1 and the rest are honors. All of that is fine. And that's a discussion that students should definitely have with their counselor and also with their teacher. What is the expectation? What am I facing if I sign up for an AP class? So those kinds of conversations can be very helpful for students in deciding whether or not to add advanced placement to their schedule. There is an AP contract, and the AP contract is important because it spells out all the requirements the student will be required to do. So there are things like, if you sign up for an AP class, you're in it for the year, and it's not grade dependent. If you don't like your grade, then you will need to do something to help yourself in that area with the help of your teacher, with the help of tutoring, whatever it takes to get your grade up. So a grade in an AP class is not grounds for taking a student out. The student has to really think about that ahead of time. The other piece on the contract is that there is an AP exam at the end of the course, and it is an expectation of the course that you will take the exam or it doesn't get posted to the student's transcript. The AP exam is a 3-hour exam in May. And so again, if a student is taking 3 or 4 AP classes, there's going to be 3 or 4 exams. There's an exam in every single one of the AP courses, except for art, the AP art. AP art is a required portfolio that gets submitted to the College Board. So the AP contract explains all of this along with the cost of the course, course of the exam. So the placement tests are in May, and they're 2 weeks in May. Next year, they're going to be 3. So in 2026, they're going to be spread out over 3 weeks. They are 3-hour long tests. They are designed to test the student on what they've learned all year throughout the AP class. So it's not like all of a sudden it's a surprise test. Students will be practicing the information, learning the information from class, but also there are all kinds of supports through the College Board to help the students with the exams that the teachers use in the classroom to help prepare them for what they're going to be facing. And like I said, they are in May, and they are typically at 8 in the morning or 12 in the afternoon. And why do we have the students take this? We have the students take these because, just like I said, it's a college level course. It mirrors a college type of program. So in most colleges, there are midterms and finals, and this would be the students' a facsimile of a final that you would have in a college, a 3-hour test. So it prepares students very, very well for college. And in fact, the preparation that they get in an AP course far exceeds the score on the exam. The score on the exam is a score on the exam, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the actual preparation students get for understanding information, taking in large parts of content and pieces of content, and then be able to apply that or use that or be assessed on it is actually pretty amazing. So that is why we encourage students to take an advanced placement class, if they're able and they want to, because of the preparation that it will give them for college. The cost for the exams right now is $100 an exam. That is subject to change based on the college course. So just so that you're aware that there is an additional cost for the advanced placement exam that does not go to BG. It pays for the exam coming from the College Board, the the formulation of the assessment, as well as the correction of the assessment and the scores. So that's where the $100 goes to. So the question is always, I'm telling you all these terrible things about AP and how difficult it is, but why should a student bother taking an AP course? If it's so much work, why would I even try? Honestly, I think it's one of the best ways to prepare for college. If a student is able to take an AP course and understand the depth that a college course is going to go into and the pace it's going to be, the student will not be surprised when they get to college. And it's good to challenge yourself. And so, as we were talking about balance, maybe you take you're a rising sophomore and you take 2 honors courses with the idea that maybe junior year you take 1 or 2 AP courses, or you take 1 honors course sophomore year in an area you really love and feel that you're a very strong student in, and you take the AP course junior year and maybe a couple more senior year. So it is a lot of work, but it's also very rewarding at the end. And the impact of AP courses and the exam on college admissions can be high. So there are some colleges that we tell students, if you don't have at least 1 AP course on your transcript, it's going to be a challenge for you to get into that college. And that is true of some elite colleges as well as highly competitive colleges. Now, if you listen to what I just said, it's about the AP course, not the AP exam. The AP exam is taken at the end of the school year. The AP exam has no bearing on college admission. The score on the AP exam has no bearing on college admission when you're applying to college. When it does have an impact is once a student decides on college, the score on the exam can determine whether or not a college will accept that AP course for college credit. Typically, these colleges will say you have to have a 3 or better in a college course. Now, the exam is not considered in the admission process, but it is considered at the end when the student decides. So here's the thing about that. Not every college will accept an AP class, or even the score in the exam as a college credit. For instance, if you're going into engineering, they may or may not take your AP math or AP physics because an engineering program is so rigorous. And that could potentially happen in a nursing program, for instance. They may not take your AP bio score. However, they may not take it for college credit, but in order to get into that college, they would want to see that on your transcript. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in some respects. So that's, again, a really good conversation to have with your school counselor, because it can be tricky. But also, we don't always know what colleges are going to do about the score and accepting it for college credit once the student deposits and decides to go there. However, we will know whether or not the student is a strong enough candidate to apply if they have AP courses on their transcript or not. So there's a difference. So it's sort of a pre and post kind of thing. So when talking about that now with students about what they should do, we always ask the question, well, what are you thinking about doing in college? What are some of the ideas of colleges that you might have in your mind as schools you want to apply to? Because that drives some of the conversation around AP. And this is why colleges are looking for the best candidate they can find. At the end of the day, they're looking for the best candidate they can find. They want the best student they can find. They want the best involved student they can find. They want the best athlete they can find. They want the best highest paying student they can find. So all of those factors in a perfect world is what colleges are looking for. As we know, that is not how the admissions process goes, and students are not all of those things all of the time. So they have to broaden their worldview, and they do. But they are going to look for certain things, and they are going to look for certain things in certain majors. So they're always going to look at the courses the student has taken throughout high school. That's going to be the number one thing they look at. What types of courses is this student taking, and have they challenged themselves? And that's very important. But they also want to see good grades. So that, again, this is the balance of, do I overload and get lower grades, or do I just say, forget it, I'm just going to take college level and get all A's? So the answer to that is somewhere in between. All right. So again, as Ms. Futrell said, play to your strengths. Show colleges you're giving it a try. Do something that's challenging. Colleges are looking for students who are students. But it's an educational institution. They want students who are going to challenge themselves. They want students who will be prepared for their freshman year of college and be successful. And because if they're successful in their freshman year, they're going to come back their sophomore. So they want students who can do school. And there's no better way than doing school than being really diligent and motivated to challenge yourself. Because that's the way we learn. If it's too easy, students can get bored and complacent and potentially build bad habits. So that's what we're trying to get students to really take a dive, get your foot in the water and try something new. So try an honors course, try an AP course, and see. And if you don't get an A+, it's okay. But at least you're showing a college that you are giving it a try. And again, do colleges accept scores for credit? It really does depend on the college, and it depends on the major. So, and it depends on the score. So some, like I said, most colleges will take 3s or better. Some will only take 4s or 5s. And the scale of the score is 1 through 5. So most of our students do really well on the AP test. Our average scores are like 4.8. So that's a really good score. So we really do encourage our students to believe in themselves and know that the foundation that they have here, and that was what I was saying before, there has to be prerequisites and some foundation to be successful in AP. Your freshman and sophomore year is really preparing you to be able to take an honors or an AP level course. So that's our quick webinar for you today. We're sorry our colleagues could not join us today, but we hope you got some information that would be helpful for you. And if you have any questions, or your son or daughter have any questions, please make sure that they email their counselor, as the portal will be closing in a few days. And as Ms. Futrell said, we can always work with them even if the portal is closed. So we'll be in touch with them throughout this process, all the way through the 28th of March and beyond. But if you have any questions, please reach out. We're always here and ready to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.